be water, my friend.
Being at such a large school and a large environment when you're in a lecture hall with 300 kids, it is nerve-wracking. When I first came to UCLA, I was terrified of office hours. I was like, do I seriously have to go talk to my professors outside of class? Even approaching them before or after class was always nerve-wracking, but I think once I got over that initial fear, I actually really enjoy office hours. I think it makes class a lot more interesting. It makes me feel more comfortable when I'm in class, when I'm listening to their lectures.
I was kind of struggling going into the final. Like I was like a B- and I really wanted to get an A. So I got extra practice material and I was able to kind of clarify a lot of things that I was a little bit unsure of. Through office hours and her working with me, I was able to boost my grade up to an A.
Yeah, I want to be honest. Like coming to UCLA and going to professor's office hours, I was really intimidated. Thinking that like I had a perspective, thinking like everybody's smart there, and everybody would want to have really smart questions, like about the topic we discussed in the class and the lectures and everything. My grades were not good as I thought I would get, and I thought like I was lacking something, and then I knew like it was going to the office hours, like I was missing that part, because this is one of the most important things if you want to succeed in your academics. Like that's the hours set for you to get help.
I beg my students every quarter to come to my office hours. Office hours are a wonderful way to get your questions answered, or to just find out more about something in the course that interests you. Or some people have come to ask me about what it's like being a professor, because they are contemplating an academic career, and going to office hours is a great way to begin a discussion with somebody about it. Because of course, what you see in the classroom as a student is only a small part of what being a faculty member is like. It's a great way for me to get to know my students. And I really, really enjoy getting to know my students, and I always want to get to know as many of them as possible, and office hours is a great way to do that, because I don't have a lot of time to chat with you when you're in class.
I often have students who want letters of recommendation from me, and I have no idea who they are. They just took my class, and there were maybe 200 students, and maybe they did well in terms of a grade, but I can't speak about them personally. But if you come to 1 or 2 office hours, and I know who you are, and then I have a little bit more to say. Very few students come to the office hours, and so those few students that come, I know them.
When I was an undergraduate, I was often afraid to go to office hours. And now that I'm a professor, I think, oh, that was really foolish, because I just would have encountered me, and I'm not frightened at all. And I think a lot of students say that they feel intimidated. I said, have you ever heard somebody ask what you thought was a stupid question? Everybody raises their hands. I said, and then what happened after that? I said, nothing. I said, so even if you do ask a stupid question, you'll survive. The same thing, I said, people say they're intimidated, they're afraid that a faculty member will not be nice to them. And I say, has somebody ever not been nice to you? Everybody raises their hand. And what happened after that? Nothing, you were fine. So I say, if this happens, it will not be the first time in your life that somebody's not been nice to you. It won't be the last, and you will survive. But it probably won't happen.
Honestly, go to office hours starting week 1. I know that sounds weird, because it's like, what kind of questions would you have week 1? But even like going over the syllabus and just asking them like personal questions, not too personal of course, but just questions about the class, or what is the best way that you could study, or what is the normal trend of students who receive A's in your class, and just really fosters like the sense of community at UCLA. And it's like you don't have to have such a gap between you and your professor, especially in lectures. And I think it helps so much more, because they start to remember your name, and it's like, it might be weird at first, like when they call your name in lecture, but it's also like, oh wow, like she or he actually remembers me. So I think that's always awesome.